When you think about community leadership, what do you think of? Social organizers, good citizens, community-minded volunteers. Leadership spans a wide range of roles and capacities. All of them are necessary for healthy community development, but not all of them exist in equal supply, and not all require the same levels of understanding, caring, learning, and responsibility. Different types of challenges require different types and levels of leadership. For instance, the type of leadership required to organize a fundraising event for a well-recognized cause is different from the type of leadership that is needed to challenge the status quo, or to prepare a group to anticipate threats that aren't on their collective radar. Both types of leadership are necessary, of course. But what type of leadership are we really hurting for at this place and time in history? While we will always need volunteers, organizers, and community-minded citizens, what we're really hurting for are leaders with foresight and widesight. The kind of leaders that can help us identify and prepare for the most significant threats and opportunities coming our way, especially those challenges that we are not seeing or caring about yet. This is essentially the function of leadership. Leaders serve to guide, strengthen, and extend a group's capacity to effectively respond to existing and emerging opportunities and threats. This is the kind of leadership we are working to develop through Leadership Calgary's 10-month program and ongoing learning opportunities. Leadership Calgary exists to develop and nurture leaders with the scope and depth to take on the full range of challenges facing 21st century communities. The program differs from more conventional leadership programs in several ways. One way is that we take a systems approach to community leadership. Leadership is a much richer story than we typically think. It's about much more than creating a compelling vision and drawing on the right mix of messages and strategies to motivate others. People are oriented, motivated, and prepared to think, care, act, and learn by a complex field of conflicting influences, priorities, belief systems, and leaders are just one small force in that battlefield. To understand leadership, then, we have to understand the broader ecology of influences that people draw on to tell them what to care about, how to think, and how to behave. All of these things orient us to life. They tell us who we are and what life is about. They shape our mental models, our beliefs, priorities, and practices. And almost all of this happens unconsciously. We are essentially programmed by these influences, by culture. And it's this programming that we draw on when we're figuring out what to do or how to behave. But what happens if our collective programming is maladaptive? Cultural systems, like natural systems, can become toxic. They can be so full of Brad and Angelina, The Bachelor, fad diets, and mindless consumerism that they become stripped of the nutrients that support life. Effective leadership, then, requires a systems approach. Understanding something about the ecology of influences and authorities that impact our thinking and behavior, and knowing how to enhance the vitality of that ecology. The second way in which this program differs from most community leadership programs is that it considers leadership in the broader context of adaptive intelligence. The framework we use is based on over 40 years of research and draws on examples of individual and social learning from various disciplines across time periods and cultures, including engineering, ethics, business, military command, economics, and a host of others. The patterns drawn from this wide range of examples help us to understand the nature of community learning and adaptive intelligence. What is adaptive intelligence? The word adapt means to make fit, to change in such a way that you are better able to meet the demands of the situation. Learning how to adjust our capacities to fit existing and emerging challenges in the environment is the essence of adaptive positioning. And it is what all life seeks to do, from viruses to dandelions, to CEOs and rock stars. As individuals, organizations, societies, and species, we're all trying to extend our capacity to reduce threats and maximize opportunities. This sounds simple enough on the surface, but it's very difficult to do well for a few reasons. One of the big ones is the very things that spell out success in smaller frames can be highly maladaptive in the bigger scheme of things. We see this in any example where short-term gains actually cause bigger, long-term setbacks, or when the strategy we use to solve one problem creates an even bigger set of problems. As humans and as leaders, we are very good at positioning ourselves adaptively within smaller frames of action, but exceptionally bad within larger frames. Wise leadership is about understanding those larger frames of action. Working to develop broader frames of reference takes enormous effort and intelligence. But this is the kind of leadership that we are most hurting for, given the challenges and opportunities of our time. Until recently, civic, corporate, and community leaders could operate in relatively small frames. But things have changed. Accelerating globalization forces bring large-scale threats and opportunities to even the smallest communities. We are facing enormous pressures and adaptive challenges as a species. Population growth, climate change, migration, resource depletion, pollution, global inequities. These are complex problems with far-reaching and potentially devastating consequences. These types of problems are messy, interrelated, and systemic in nature, and they don't observe municipal boundaries. So we need leaders whose thinking and caring transcends the city limits. Because if we don't figure this out, it won't matter how good we are at solving local problems. We also have enormous opportunities. Because of globalization and advanced information technologies, the potential for wide-scale collaboration and learning are unprecedented. Leaders need to know how to make the most of these rich opportunities, how to help their communities position themselves in such a way that they can draw on the best of human learning. This is another way in which the Leadership Calgary program differs from other programs. Scope. We are working to understand adaptive positioning at the species level. We need people who can help us adaptively position the largest communities to which we all belong, the communities of humanity and life. Expanding the scope of leadership to the species and planetary level doesn't mean ignoring local challenges. In fact, it makes it more likely that local challenges will be handled more efficiently. Adaptive capacities are scalable. The basic processes are the same at the individual and organizational level as they are at the level of societies and civilizations. And by understanding the demands and requirements of the bigger frames, we're better able to position ourselves within smaller frames of action. This is not a new concept. Leading-edge thinkers throughout time have recognized the need for this kind of life-scale adaptive positioning. They call it wisdom. The human venture is our collective progress on the journey towards wisdom. Human venture leadership is about preparing ourselves and others for the journey, and taking it. Can you develop wisdom in a 10-month program? Well, you can start. The program introduces participants to a disciplined life learning framework to manage complexity and support an ongoing journey to the leading edges of human and social development. It also offers an opportunity to meet fellow travelers on the path, people who are working together to create an ongoing mutual learning community. One of the metrics used to determine the success of a leadership program is an engaged alumni. We have one of the most engaged alumni in the country. Why? Because class participants know that the program is only the beginning. To really develop proficiency in adaptive capacities like innovation, strategy, and prevention takes time and effort. We know we have to keep going. The framework offers us a way to structure our life learning, our pathway to wisdom. To learn more about the program, or to find out how you can support this important venture, please visit our website or contact our program manager.